And you're listening to The One Thing on Edge Radio Australia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all over the world, wherever you are. We are going to cut to a video very shortly before I have our co-hosts introduce themselves, because it's a very, very special day. And we're going to be talking about what makes a freedom fighter. And our special guest, Scott from Scorpion Media Group, proudly calls himself a freedom fighter, not the freedom fighter, one of the freedom fighters. And it's very good reason, because he's dedicated countless hours directing a full-length documentary to capture the untold stories of Perth's freedom fighters, which we will be talking about in a little while. Beyond that, his history of standing up against injustice where others remain silent speaks absolute volumes. He's a very humble man, you will find, when he gets to speak. And in this episode, we're going to lift the lid on topics such as, was Scott born a freedom fighter, or did life's challenges shape him into one? What are his thoughts on JFK and his legacy? And we're also going to be diving into some very light subjects of globalism and tyranny, words that evoke very strong emotions. So with that, let's watch a video to give us a little bit of background about Scott.
And we're also from Patuli Army, and we have mixed nationalities here. Some are Burmese, some are Korean, some are all mixed, but we are all brothers. Are we brother?
Yes!
Are we brother?
Yes, we are brother!
This is a drone. I believe the name of this drone is Butterfly.
I will never surrender.
Lekone PDA, lekone Patuli Army, Waganyo, Akuna Powada, Dido Papopasa.
I think I'll see if I can hitch a ride with these guys. We're riding in trucks down the dusty roads in the 𝐶𝐸 Mountains at the moment. And I've got a truck full of soldiers in front of us, a truck full behind, and you can see that the guys directly behind me in this truck are our security detail. We're at a mountain outpost in 𝐶𝐸 State, and we're going to go up to the top of the hill now and check up on the soldiers and the commanders. Recently, the Burmese forces, Burmese ethnic people, have left the central lower Burma, and they've joined ethnic armies.
Two commando Athaviku, Hiweda Munda Hawaii, but Sato Maweda, the Pachino, la Weda Pay, Niveda, Nula Kola. No, me. Did I tell the Weda check out the bay, a couple Yokone, Lekone PTA, Lekone Patuli Army, Waganyo, Akuna Powada, Dido Papopasa, Apamasakoda. What are we want? Freedom! What are we want? Freedom! What are we want? Freedom!
Well, we're just leaving the one of the outposts, and these were the soldiers are just moving up to another outpost here. And on the journey goes.
I'm very, very glad to say that this man is my friend. Simple as that. To have a freedom fighter who actually gets out there, gets into I don't know, the down and dirty of the world. Be there in Burma, mate. I'm very impressed with what you've done there. Really.
No, look, someone's got to do it, right?
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, you know what? So many just stand by and actually don't do a thing. You actually get out there and do that. So, we're going to jump into your journey. We're going to talk about you and all these great things that you've been involved with. Obviously, the documentary that just dropped last week here in Western Australia, which is just I jokingly call it a home movie of the last 5 years of my life.
Yeah, home movies, man.
A hell of a home movie.
Yeah.
The documentary, COVID 1984, the Western Australian experiment. We're going to be talking about that, but we want to talk about you. Look, let's just start. Where were you born, mate? You've got a funny accent.
Well, I do have a funny accent, right? And the thing is, now, I wasn't born in UK, but I was born in let's say the eastern United States.
Yep.
You
Okay.
you might have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to narrow it down.
Oh, look, you don't want to admit you're from New Jersey, do you?
Oh, Jersey. There we go. There we
You
go.
know what
He's
I
a
mean?
Jersey
You looking
boy.
at
Yeah,
me?
he is.
You understand me?
Oh,
You know,
he's just gone all gangster on us.
yeah, well, yeah. And, look, I grew up in England, but I've been to 60 countries, traveled all around the world, ended up here. Some ways, we're all a man without a country.
Yeah.
So tell us about
floating around.
Tell us about Scott, the little boy.
Yeah, the little boy, I was very good. I never got in trouble. Was always behaved.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing really that exciting to say, about being a little kid. I mean, it's.
I disagree. I'm going to say this. I think from when you were a child, your rebellion was there. Okay, I'm going to guess you were not a kid who, did exactly what the narrative
No, I probably
was.
didn't.
No.
Yeah, look, I probably didn't. I suppose maybe when I was in my teens, I had an uncle who was in the Vietnam War. Okay, so going back a little bit, I was probably in my early teens.
Mm-hmm.
And he got out these photographs when he was in Vietnam. And he went there like 3 times, I think a couple of times as a contractor and one time in the U.S. Army. And he was up in the highlands of Vietnam. And this is, a lot of the battles took place up there. A lot of them did anyway.
Right.
The Central Highlands, it was called.
Okay.
So it's in South Vietnam basically in the mountain areas on the west.
Right.
So the border's Cambodia and the north a little bit Laos.
Right.
Anyway, so he was up there stationed there in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And they had these hill tribe people called Montagnards.
Right.
And that's the old French colonial word. Montagnard is, it means mountain people in French.
Okay.
And the French had that area before, it was a big, huge war there, right?
Well, colonized by the French for a very long
French
time.
colonial period, Dien Bien Phu, 54, and then the U.S. period, the U.S. war came later, right after that. And so he showed me all these photographs of these guys in camo suits and carrying, weapons and they're working with the U.S. Special Forces and the CIA originally.
Right.
So they set up a program in the very early 60s.
Yep.
And to recruit these guys. They had in Laos, we had a lot of Hmong, which is a HMONG, it's a
right.
And for the Montagnards themselves in Vietnam, there was approximately 40,000 at any one given time fighting with the South Vietnamese army or the North and the American army against the communists.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask this: what makes Scott, the man, drawn to war zones?
Wow, look at
and the human rights issues of the Southeast Asian countries.
I think you're just born like that, maybe. I don't know.
But what drew you specifically to the Southeast Asian countries? Was it your experience with your uncle?
That's that story of that.
Yeah.
She showed me those photographs of these guys, and later on, like 40 years later or something, who's counting the years? But years later, I was at law school and I went, whatever happened to these people?
Yeah. Okay.
I had these old black and white photos in Montagnards. There wasn't much in the media.
Sure.
So I started doing a little bit of digging. And this is going back 25 years ago. And I looked at and I found that some of these guys kept fighting the Vietnam War after 75. So some of these Montagnard guys, they said, we're not surrendering.
Sure.
They're real freedom fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued to fight and they surrendered 17 years later.
Wow.
In Cambodia, in eastern Cambodia, they surrendered, and the U.S., the UN UNTAC forces in 1992, it's 92, 93, they flew these guys to North Carolina. So there was like 400 of these guys still fighting the Vietnam War. And so I contacted these guys, and they asked me to come work as a political lobbyist for them.
Right.
I became friends with them all, still in touch with them.
So you'd finished your law degree by then?
No, I just started the law degree.
Yeah.
And then, but during it, sort of toward the end of it, you know, it was more interesting basically
doing that
than the legal profession.
So is that when your love of media came to the forefront?
No,
or not
really.
No?
It was all on the go.
Yeah.
You know, I did do a documentary. I said, look, I'm going to try to help these people. Nobody's ever heard of them. They're very small. But now there's like 20,000 of them living in North Carolina, in other parts of the States. But North Carolina is a huge population of these hill tribe peoples. And there's a bunch of different ethnic groups there, but they're all generally called this term Montagnard. And they're still suffering today.
Wow.
So we're looking at
we're looking at near on 60 years. We're looking at 60 years. We are.
And these guys kept fighting. And one of my good friends, the last battle they had was in 91. Oh, sorry, 91 or 92. Actually, I think it was 91.
Okay.
So and then I started, you know, it got me in the arena, the geopolitical arena with let's say, we were going to Geneva, the UN, Brussels, the European Union, Washington, D.C., the swamp. And, you know, basically I learned that, you know, and I got to tell you something. I thought that I was a little bit realist. I knew things.
Sure.
I a little bit wise.
How old were you?
I was in my probably 30s.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think we all think that when we're in our 30s.
Yeah, you know,
we still think that.
Yeah, I thought that at 18. I've been proven wrong.
Yes.
But yeah.
So what was the reason that you decided that you weren't as wise as what you thought?
Well, you know, I realized that the whole setup is a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
That the entire global institutions, nobody really cared about him. You know, and I always had figured it, some of it. But if we look now at this stuff with the shady deals with USAID, and dishing out the money, and the global establishment, it dishes it out. You know, look, when you think about it, what was it? $300 billion went to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Nothing went to human rights issue.
What did it achieve? Yeah. Honestly, Scotty.
Well, what it achieved was a corrupt type thing. Assange said it was money laundering years ago.
Yeah.
And we see this same thing. You know, did that money really go there? Or a lot of it's missing.
Look,
they give it there, and then what does Ukraine buy weapons back from the military-industrial complex? So there's all those questions.
Ukraine, for as long as I can remember, well, quite frankly, after the fall of the Soviet Union, I've pretty much seen Ukraine as the laundry of the world. Okay, that's where you go to launder money or create the sex trade. You know, like it's not a country that, and I'm not having a go. I want to make that very clear. Like, okay, I know Ukrainian people, and there's so many amazing Ukrainian people, right? Yeah. I'm talking about the regimes. I'm talking about the politicians and those who control it. So
it became a proxy war.
Yeah,
this is a proxy war for a globalist agendas, the military-industrial complex, and you know, I can't really see to think that Russia is going to go invade the rest of the world is insane. And I think they made the West, the Anglo-American establishment, made a big mistake by pushing Russia closer to China.
Of course, exactly right there.
But do they have this? You know, years ago they were always talking about the one world government. Are they moving toward that? And
giving it
there's a lot of talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, and you know. Putin didn't listen. I mean, Putin would not follow in their agenda. And if you go back to Wesley Clark in 2001, after the 9/11 episode, and General Wesley Clark, gave a speech, and he made it several times on Democracy Now! And on some other platform, and he talked about this list, you know, the 7 countries in 5 years. And, you know, you can hear the story on YouTube. Wesley Clark and his 7 countries in 5 years. Russia was not on that list.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So these things change, you know, and I think it became on that list. And certainly when, the Obama administration, very shady deals going on with these guys in funding the opposition just so they would overthrow Assad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sort of fits in with the bill. They're trying to create one world, you know, the 7 countries in 5 years. And Russia said no, obviously. Went in, you know, stabilized Syria. And then, you know, you could only look at it back. That was like, what, 2014, 2015? I mean, you can only look and go, we know what's coming. War is coming. They're going to go after.
Very obvious. Yeah.
After Putin.
One thing that came to my mind when I was watching that Burma video was I wondered how somebody who had had so much adrenaline rushing settles in a little sleepy town like Perth. Because you've traveled to a lot of countries, haven't you? And you've done some very exciting stuff.
And you would have come across some very unique challenges over there.
Oh, you know, the jungles out in Burma, very hugely complex issue. Burma has 20 ethnic groups, armed ethnic groups, all fighting. And by the way, it's very, very close to collapsing, the military regime in Burma. We're on the cusp of it now.
Is there any outside influences for that in that mix?
Yeah. Well, there's always outside influences as far as like major funding and stuff like that. There's a little bit from people still trade.
Yes.
You know, for a long time, they've been trading, illegal trading going, you know, weapons and stuff. It's hugely some weapons from China getting in there.
Yeah.
You know, some of the ethnic groups up in the north, they make their own, like the model of AK-47. It's a really interesting.
That surprised me looking at one of your videos.
Look, the country's going to go down. It's hard to explain it to the novice because it's with 20 ethnic groups fighting the regime. But look, there was a podcaster, an Australian guy, and he talked on his podcast a couple of months ago, and he came up with I know the guy, Luke Hunt, but I know him a little bit. And he said, you know, that 14% of the country is under control of the Burmese military.
Right.
Only 14%. So the ethnic armies are sort of closing in. They're coming from the top and the left and the right, and they're moving in. The American army on the very far west have, I think there's 1 or 2, maybe 2 or 3 cities left, and they're you know, they're gonna take over the whole country. Oh, sorry, the country of Rakhine State, Arakan State.
Right. And I can't believe I don't see this on the ABC.
Well, we don't see any of these, do we, really?
I want to just take a quick little opportunity to say hi to Robin. Courage is a cure. Absolutely lovely to see you.
Yeah,
and I'm going to bring up your comment because you're so funny. She wants to know, Aaron, no coffee today. Now, little private joke, you know, just
cheers, Robin.
We've replaced the coffee today.
Actually, while we've got Robin on, why don't you tell us about your part with the Light Australia?
Yeah.
Yours and Robin's.
Well, a lot of people are involved in the Light, and this is the newspaper. There you go. I think we got a little story in here on somebody.
And for those that, because I came across somebody the other day that hadn't actually heard of the Light.
No, but my ad's in there. Just saying.
This is about, it runs somewhere, give or take around 200,000 copies an episode. Where is that one? Is one of there? I think somebody we know is in there.
And it's written by Truth Seekers, isn't it?
Probably.
Oh, who knows? Who knows?
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't have that one here.
I don't think that one's here.
Oh, we don't have it here.
Your humility is pretty special, mate. You do so much.
There is a story on Aaron Malloy.
There is a story about
living on the edge. On the edge with
I am but a cog in this incredible machine.
We're all cogs in the wheel.
Yes. You were mentioning percentages before, and I was watching an interview that you did with Stephen Moore, and I thought, and I have heard this before, but I'd love for you to speak about it to our viewers. So we became in contact because of what happened during COVID, because we decided not to conform, and we're going to be speaking some more about the documentary that you've put together. But you were speaking about how people were hypnotized and percentages, which I had heard before, but I love the way you articulated it, if you wouldn't mind talking about that.
Yeah, that was Aldous Huxley, sort of influenced by this, and I've repeated this many times, but it's a great little speech. Aldous Huxley, who was the father of the author of Brave New World. He was actually George Orwell's teacher.
Yeah.
Right. And so he wrote Brave New World, which is a softer version of 1984. 1984 was very harsh. It was like written during the Stalin times, you know, and Stalin, you know, it was the iron fist crushing down, the threat of war over everything. Huxley sort of wrote Brave New World with the idea that, you know, you got soma, this drug.
Sure.
And they're going to use a pharmaceutical method of controlling populations.
Oh, really?
It's almost like
it wasn't. It wasn't with the jab. It was like you take soma that gets you like an ecstasy type.
Gotcha.
It just makes you hot. You know, you don't worry about anything. You're all happy. You take a drug.
Oh, okay. Right.
And a dictatorship without tears, he says they're moving towards.
Sounds great. You know what? It sounds almost like you'll
Control.
own nothing and you'll be happy, right?
Yeah, you'll own nothing. I mean, that's a great communist saying, isn't it? You'll own nothing and be happy. You just rent everything.
So what about the hypnotism, though? There was a
so he gave a speech at Berkeley some years ago. And you can check it on the internet. It was Berkeley, California, and you know, he's got his English accent. He was, well, you know, I'm giving this speech about hypnotism, and he talked about hypnotism, and you know, and how 20% of the population are hypnotizable.
Yeah,
readily hypnotizable, and the other side, 20% are not hypnotizable.
And then there's swinging people.
And then there's
out
people.
there.
Then there's that. Well, there's that 60 in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
But he was applying it to many different things. You know, it's government controls, it's marketing.
Marketing plays a huge role in that.
He talked about the newspaper when they used to buy records. This is going back probably the 70s and 60s, whatever. But you know, when you used to get records and they would send them out to you.
Yeah.
Do you remember those record clubs?
I do.
There was record clubs and book clubs, and I think tapes were in there as well.
Yeah, well, you have to be an old bastard to know about it.
Yeah,
you know,
we're all old bastards.
We're old bastards.
We're all bastards together.
Were you ever in a record club?
No,
I bet he was.
I was. I absolutely was.
So what did they do? They sent them out to you?
They said I'm not that old. It was CDs.
Yeah.
They sent me CDs.
And if you don't send them back,
then you have to pay for them.
Yeah, so this is about, 20% of the people are just going to get these things, and they're just going to buy them and take whatever. You send them all out, and then 20% will reject them all, right? And then but the other ones they got to work on. You got to market, coercive, and that's what we get in society. If you look around, they were talking about the politicians. We got to get 80% of the people done because that 20% are going to say no.
Yeah, that's all you see in the letterbox these days.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's political. Jargon.
Is there an election coming up?
I don't know.
You'd almost think there would be, right? Because every single time I put on any social media, it's there. It is there.
So, can I ask, because I really do want to talk about this documentary. I know that you're a very, very humble man.
Well, that's true, but
it is true. You are very humble. So, when you were out filming all of these segments, were you thinking at the time, one day I'm going to make this into a documentary? Did that cross your mind?
Subconsciously, yes, it did.
You fibber, you told me straight out, right?
Right from the very beginning, I'm going to do it. No,
I'm only teasing you. But
subconsciously whack the cameras on people. 80% of the documentary captures the Perth experience. You know, I mean, there was somewhere between 38 and 60,000 people in the center of Perth.
Okay, so that's a good segue.
Really? Is that a good segue?
Oh, and now this one is the one with Kylie.
Yes.
Well, apparently Kylie, and there was amazing people that just stood up. She wasn't planning on doing that apparently, and on that morning, apparently said, "Yo, can I say something?" And they let her get up there, and it was a very powerful piece. There was people. Yeah. It was.
I'll tell you.
Mesmerizing.
I'll tell you. She was struggling. She was really struggling, and was she going to do it? Was she not going to do it? There was a lot of fear about it. I don't know why, because and I'll explain something a little bit about myself to explain this further. Before all this, I don't think I was a big natural hugger. I wasn't a big physical contact guy. All that kind of carry on. During all of the pandemic,
I don't know about that. But
I hug everybody now. Where it's coming from is I remember this. I remember this distinctly, and Kylie was looking really frightened. Oh, when I say she looked frightened, she was physically shaking.
Nervous or something?
Massively shaking. Like,
who wouldn't be?
Yeah. And I gave her a big cuddle, like I bear hugged on, right?
Yeah.
And we just had a little chat, okay, boom, got together, and she went out there to do this, and this was one of the most powerful
things. And this is only a clip, I have to say, it was quite long, so if anyone wants the full version, we can pop it in the bottom of our comments.
You do not disrespect good, decent citizens who want choice. And you touch our children and you get between a mother and her child and you will not know what fury is.
has now got to go. This is a crime for the children. Stooges are at stake. What kind of history? Will you
Lisa, what do you want to say about that?
It just leaves me speechless every time I watch it. It really does. You were looking very dapper there in your suit, by the way.
It was such a powerful day.
Oh my goodness.
Massive.
I can't explain it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, to be part of that, I've never had, like, my body was pulsing from the energy of the people. The breathing of the people in that crowd was literally moving my clothing. That's the first time in my life I've actually felt nervous. I couldn't believe it. My leg started to move. Kylie was amazing, and the energy that was there when she walked up was out of control, and then she just took it to 11.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal human being. She actually accepted Leanne's my invitation to come to Kings Park to one of our business meetings under the trees. It was over a year ago now, wasn't it, Leanne?
Oh, yeah.
And she actually stood in the middle of Kings Park
and
sung that song for us. And that was really, really special. It was just,
yeah, it was incredible.
Very special.
Yeah, you're up there and
but there was only 5,000 people there.
Oh no, just 1,000. Ask ABC, around 1,000 people.
Okay, yeah.
And again, I will say it till the cows come home. The official police figure given to me was, right, as there to coordinate safety. They said they do not count what was spilling into either mall, so into Murray Street or into Wellington Street. So just there in the middle, police calculations was 57,500.
Wow!
Right, the biggest.
Well, I can tell you, it was hot because people were like this,
jammed in. Yeah, absolutely. It was an amazing event.
Yeah, and Robin says it brings tears to our eyes every time.
Yeah.
I think it will. So I think it will forever, Robin. It really will. And to just see placards. My sister actually got interviewed. I don't think I've ever told you guys this before, but she walked away from Silver Chain because she wouldn't take the jab. And a news reporter came up to her, an MSM reporter, and she let them have it, as my sister does. But of course, when we watched it on the news later on, there was nothing that she said. Would you like to talk a little bit about that, from your perspective with the mainstream media?
The bullshit media.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to put that in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can see that in Australia, it's really, really shocking in the sense that very few, nothing of the mainstream media gave any common decency. What happened to the Anzac spirit, the resistance?
Yeah.
I know so many people who were in the military circles who are no longer believers anymore.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Police, military, many guys who are veterans. And,
not believers of what, Scotty?
Oh, they don't believe in the system anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like never again. They say it was all waste. Their service.
We had
It's
growing
sad.
up. We had there was such a great camaraderie. There was everything happened, and slowly all this stuff infiltrated really sneakily into everyday life, and it just all of a sudden it appears, right?
Does.
You don't even realize that it's coming in from all angles. I was having a conversation with someone today. We used to have used to be able to go out hunting, go out shooting with your 22. You'd go, like Dad would go out shooting and stuff like that. But you can't even do that if you own a farm anymore. You have to get special permits in.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So they've
in the last few days, that gentleman was found guilty of putting a bridge effectively on a dam on his own property here in Western Australia. Right? This authority control that we suffer from in this country. You know what? We are the country of the Eureka Stockade. We're the riffraff of the world.
We're
right?
supposed to be the Ned Kellys.
Damn straight.
And this is why more people need to stand up.
Yeah.
So what makes a freedom fighter? Why is it so few people stand up?
I think it goes back to the 20% thing, and we've had we've had this pumped in our brains. Western societies, if you look at Western Europe and Eastern Europe, you see a dramatic shift. And Eastern Europeans, and I can tell you what, pretty much it's the fact that they experienced communism, they experienced tyranny.
Yep.
And look at Serbia. My hat's off to the Serbians. God bless them. God bless Serbia.
Yep.
20% of the population took the jab, and there you go, apparently.
Wow.
And I've heard this from many, many Serbian people, but it's probably the same way in Croatia and the other neighboring countries.
Yeah,
Poland is probably less. Hungary for sure.
What do you believe the statistics are in Australia? Because you hear
a lot of people got to hear, and we look Western countries, England, America. Look at the crap that we got. Okay, here's Australia. The health minister, she's still in charge. That one over in South Australia. Don't touch that football.
Yeah,
I mean the league. I mean we had people here. There was a police officer, Chantel Uren. Do you remember her?
No, I don't.
She almost died. Was in intensive care during the rallies.
Yeah.
So what name?
Chantel Uren or Uren.
Okay.
Uren.
Yeah.
Okay.
A beautiful lady,
right.
And she was hospitalized, and the West Australian wrote articles about her, pretty nasty ones. But then you saw Gerard Rennick, speaking about her and what happened to her.
Oh,
she almost died from the jab. She was like in her 30s.
I remember now. Yeah.
And she was, and when she went to the vaccine safety clinic, they tried to convince her to get another one.
I know. While she was there, like,
this is the intelligence.
People lost their brains. Didn't they?
They're still, they can't pump it out.
It's like they're brainwashed.
I look at it this way.
Insane.
My entire life, a bit like you, Scotty. I looked at life, and I thought I used to look at a particular period in 30s, in Europe, in Germany, and I think, how did that happen? How did an entire population turn the other way and allow that those phenomenally disgusting actions to take place? Right.
20% of the population agree with whatever the government tells them.
But now we know.
Yeah.
Now we've seen it. We've seen it firsthand. We actually understand it. Yeah. It's disgusting.
And in the West, we've become that they've dumped us down. They've turned us into, it's the Western societies are losing their identity. And the globalist hates nationalism. They hate family. They hate tradition. They hate religion. So they can destroy all these things, make you malleable.
So you a Trump fan?
A Trump fan? Put it this way, I'm definitely not a Biden or Kamala fan. Hang on a minute. Let me just. Am I a Trump fan?
Yeah.
But look, don't misinterpret that as being. We got to save ourselves.
Of course we do.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
There's
there's things about that blow your mind as well. Look, when I saw, look at the corruption that's been on. If this is true, now we have to assume there's multiple sources out there. RFK are talking about it. Where's all the money gone?
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal. They're ripping off our taxpayers and funding all this globalist garbage,
and they are garbage.
Weakening society.
They are garbage. They don't have any ethics whatsoever. There's no empathy. There's no caring about. I judge society by how they treat the most vulnerable in society.
They view us as they're a corporation. They view the world as a corporation. They're moving pieces around. Did you get some good comments there?
Yeah,
stuff coming through. And look, hopefully things are going to happen. But with look, there's some things there that make me a little bit concerned. There's all these, the foreign wars going to continue. But I think if we look at it, there's a lot of good things happening. Enjoy the moment.
Great point.
We're gonna enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question about all the filming you did in Perth. Was there one in particular that really stood out for you? One that really tugged at your heart or stood out
Great
the
question.
most?
Well, that day was big.
Yeah.
So a lot of the individual things that happened, because I heard a lot of stories, and so I've heard many stories of heartbreak and people suffering. I look at the the injuries, and
are they still coming through now?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's personally, I only see what's on the media. Independent media, whatever. But
yeah,
I'm
on some of the groups.
I was at a thing a few weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and someone came up to me and said, my girlfriend died from the jab.
Oh no!
And I said, well, how do you know? I go, well, they got turbo K. They believed it. And they said that.
There's a lot more of those things happening out there.
A word of hope. I think people are. Another lady said to me 6 months ago, and I used to go to a little cafe, and I was a sort of regular there, and she said, I thought that you. She told me this 6 months ago that I thought you and another guy named Vince. Hi, Vince. She said, me and Vince, who were awake.
Yep.
And we were talking about the don't get the jab and stuff like that. And she said, I thought you were cracked back then. This is 4 years later. This is 21, maybe 4 years later.
There's a lot of people waking up from it.
And she said, well, now I think you were right. She looked me right in the eyes and said, I think you were right.
I feel sorry for those
because
people.
her 2 sons have got, she's got kids that are suffering with heart problems.
Look, I've known you for years, Scotty, and I can confirm that she's right. You're another absolute conspiracy lunatic.
Quite frankly, I would agree.
This is why he's on the couch.
What I would like to do is we haven't actually played the video that we have there that has been produced for the Worldwide Awake Business Network, and it has a whole lot of stories on there. I actually spent a lot of hours putting them all on there. Would you mind playing that? Because I think that's really
okay. Now,
it's the one up.
The one up there?
Yeah, it should be that one.
Let's go with that.
Trust in me, remember who you are, guiding, remembering the spark. Care for me, you're the only one who can. Loving me, remember who you are. Connect with me, that spark that's deep within. Remembering those whispers that you hear. Nourishing those gifts that you do bear. Grounding in the truths that have appeared. Remember who you are.
There you are.
Did it finish there?
That was it.
I'm not in control of these things. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
It's only a short one.
Oh, there was a longer one with all the stories on it. We'll have to do that another time.
No problem. We can do that.
There was only 57 seconds, Lisa.
Oh, okay. I must have put the wrong one up.
It's all right. You know what? We can
Technical
we can
difficulties.
So what we can do now is Lisa's going to do it just verbatim. She's just going to remember and just mention
all the stories.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on that subject, so the business group that is was created by myself. I call myself the caretaker of the group. And I've got amazing community of leaders, including Leanne and yourself, that actually help run it.
We call you the custodian.
Oh, do you? The things they say behind my back. Well, I guess it could be a lot worse. But to actually be a member of the group, you need to, in the old days, because we were a support group for those that didn't conform, we needed like-minded people. The questions were a lot stricter, but these days it's really about people being able to communicate to us that they're on the same page. And so we actually asked them how they were adversely affected by the mandates. And even now we have so many people come in and share their stories, and it just blows me away every time.
Well, let me take this opportunity So press this little button there.
Ever felt
find
lost online finding the right businesses?
Absolutely, like a needle in a haystack.
Introducing the Worldwide Awake Business Directory.
Tell me more.
It's your hub for businesses sharing your values. Discover eco-friendly products, socially responsible services, and more.
Count me in. I'll check it out straight away.
Find businesses aligned with your values on the Worldwide Awake Business Directory. Start making a difference with every purchase. There you go. I thought I'd just sneak that in. Let's face it.
You did sneak it in. Yes.
It is a wonderful group, and it's been created for the best of reasons. And I would take my hat off, but I don't want the glare off the lights.
Don't blind it.
Blinded by the light.
Exactly. Put your safety glasses on, everyone. But no, you should be congratulated for building such an amazing group and doing such fantastic work. And where it just comes down to, if it's to bring like-minded people together, to share a story, to share a burden, it's a great thing. But apart from that, it's an extremely good way to build your business. And deal with people who have got the same ethical standards.
I just love the fact that I've never felt such a connection with strangers before, and that's what most people say, isn't it, Leanne?
Yeah.
They walk in, and it's like, you get me, you understand me, you speak the same language. Like, we stood up together.
So often we use the statement now, "Oh, they're one of us."
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they get us.
Yeah, they get us.
They
get
understand.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, a man who's always been on the outside looking in, okay, you honestly, mate, that's how you lived your entire life. I've noticed you've sort of just taken us on little journeys left, right, and centre and talking about things. I want to know about the guy, okay? I really do. We've known each other for a long time, but I want other people to actually understand what makes you tick. What made you get out there when it was bloody hard? It was hard. Make no mistake. I remember the frenetic pace of everything. Like, things happen, and you had to leap in the car and go, 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 go. And the tension and the police and the stress that given by officials and the lies from the media, all of this sort of thing.
It takes its toll on you, doesn't it?
It takes its toll.
What was your self-talk?
What was your driving force? Was there a need? Was it just a need? Was it a burn?
I think we're born that way. And we nurture it. Nurture versus nature. There's an argument, but
did you do it for the kids?
Yeah, sure. You did it for everything. I can't really answer in any particular thing that said, you must. It's the kids. It's future. It's resistance. It's
the Marbo. It's the vibe.
The what? The vibe? Yeah, it was vibey, baby. It was. Look, I think it was inbred in some ways, but you have to continue to fight. So
what about your parents? You spoke about your uncle. Were your parents freedom fighters?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
What a detailed answer there. Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah. We're talking about me. I'm not talking about family. Okay?
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Fair enough.
I just want to know the guy, right? And as I say, I do to a big extent, but I probably don't know. I certainly don't know everything about you. But you do things that are extraordinary, mate. You don't live in the box, right? You've smashed that box. And I think that's a story that a lot of people need to hear. I think that when you did that documentary, okay, you encapsulated so much of the personality of the people and the pressures they were under and what was going on. So many people don't do that. We live in a world right now where everyone slams a camera up with their phone, okay, and then the images go away and disappear. You didn't. You were proactive. You stuck that camera. Trust me, that camera's in everyone's face. But
that's how you do it.
That's your style, mate. Absolutely.
But
where
one thing, if you stand far back, you got no sound. So,
yeah, okay. Well, my point is this: you didn't just make footage, okay? You made an absolutely outstanding documentary. Yeah. I had the pleasure of seeing it last week, and as I say,
he's in it too, by the way. So
that's why he thinks it's outstanding. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people are asking when they're going to get to see it.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet. It's in the works.
Okay, so are you needing investors? What are you needing?
No, we don't need investors. If put it this way, if someone's got some money to give me, hey, look, bring it on, baby. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But
it's not about that. You know that. We know.
Yeah, we're not here about money.
I'm guessing it's expensive to actually produce something like this and put it out there.
It takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah. And how many hours did it take you to put it together?
Well, I'm estimating that it was 6 months full-time work.
Wow.
Over a year.
Wow.
You know, that's a lot to edit.
Yeah.
You know, you got to search too. You know, 80% of the footage was, how many events do we have?
Yeah, a lot.
The short list I had was something like 60 files, each could have 100 videos in each one.
Wow.
Some of them were hour long.
That would have been consuming.
Anybody who was part of it in Perth, I can't tell you how much I would recommend you go and watch it.
There's too many things that happen.
Please go and watch it. Like I even had, there were situations where I was watching you're filming someone or something and there's an event going on and I'm thinking, oh man, I was standing right next to you when this was taken. And what's good about that is I reach right into myself and I have this amazing memory of that experience. I relive it and it makes it more powerful. And I think I just want everyone who was involved, as you know, I want everyone who was involved and those not involved. I want those not involved
because
to see the passion.
They will feel it.
Yeah, feel it. Absolutely.
Feel it because we were there. We felt it.
It's dedicated to the people of WA.
Yep.
And I couldn't have done it without you.
I've got one more question. JFK.
JFK, okay,
yeah.
Well, that's the end of the show.
Because that was one of the lists. That was one of the ones that we actually said. So.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, I did look at that for a couple of years.
Yep.
Studied it. I had nothing better to do in my life. But you know, if it just recently, I forget her name, the lady who's handling this said there's 2 shooters.
Yes. Yep.
You know, there is a massive cover up.
We know that. Yeah.
I'll project my theory to you. I'll tell you what it is.
Go for
it. I think we got to be a little bit careful that, look, they've had 60-something years, over 60 years, to scrub things. But, you know, apparently there's lots of documents in there. If they have, you know, and I hope that we're not being gaslit and that they come up with some crazy theory. They planted evidence, whatever, you know, the deep state, put some evidence in there blaming something that completely, oh yeah, there was a conspiracy, but it was like, so that's a possibility that could happen. And we never get rid of it. But I will tell you that I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't kill anybody that day.
Right. Not
one person. He was a patsy, as he says. The reason he went to Russia, defected to the Soviet Union, was he was working as a spy in the mole hunting unit under James Angleton.
Not as a waitress in a cocktail bar?
No, he was not a waitress in a cocktail bar. And he was a spy connected to more than likely the James Angleton, and they were mole hunting. There was a Russian spy that came out, a defector.
Right.
That came out some years. I think his name is Senko, but I could be wrong about the names. But there was a couple of these, and they say, "Look, you guys got somebody in the CIA as a mole giving us information." So they were mole hunting, and they were sending false defectors. It was called the false defector program. There was there was other ones too, and they sent these false defectors over there. So Lee Harvey Oswald had a bunch of different aliases. They recalled him back, and now when he comes back from defecting in the 1950s, think about this: what do? Did they arrest him? They give him some money and say, "See you later."
He enjoyed a little time in Mexico, you know.
Well, no, They don't even know if he went there. That stuff about Mexico City is whether he went there or not. They set him up. He didn't go. I think the big problem happened was in Dallas, November 22nd, 1963. He got out of that building alive.
Wasn't supposed to happen.
Wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah. Whether he was on the 6th floor,
8th, wasn't it?
No, 6th.
Okay, see, there you go. I'm
so
old.
He's apparently on the 6th floor. Okay. But there was 3 ladies. I mean, there's so many things. If you go through, scrutinize all the evidence, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things that don't add up.
Yeah.
Now, the mafia connections, just bear in mind that the mafia connections is not the entire mafia of the United States or anything linked to the Cosa Nostra in Naples or Sicily or whatever.
They're franchises.
Yeah, they're franchises. It was a military group. It was the mafia guys who are the main suspects are the same ones involved in the Bay of Pigs. So I think the key example is that the key to this understanding it is the Bay of Pigs guys. They were the operational guys on the ground.
I think so too.
When the Bay of Pigs collapsed, Kennedy was seen as probably the straw that the military-industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
I think other people were in play. Lots of other got together.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a risk to national security.
Yeah.
They viewed him as a risk.
They did.
He had direct contact with Khrushchev, many aspects of this. And the Bay of Pigs was such a disaster for the CIA that these guys were really a wild bunch.
Mm.
I mean, there was just killers and an assortment of anti-Castro Cubans, the military guys, the mafia, but they all have a nexus. They're all connected to the Bay of Pigs.
Think of the time when this is too.
Yeah.
They said, look, that's it. He's not going to Vietnam. There's many other things. There's the Israeli connections. There's lots of things.
The Vietnam War would not have happened had Kennedy lived.
Not,
that's the general consensus.
Yeah, it's probable that they wouldn't have. You know, he was. If you're changing the entire Cold War policy,
mm-hmm.
you know, you're going to comp. The military said, look,
you're talking to Khrushchev. Simple as that. You open dialogue.
There's nobody in between. It's just direct line.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to find elements that Leo Hillsell wasn't a shooter.
Sorry,
he was not. He didn't shoot anybody that day. He was a patsy, as he says. And Jack Ruby and them. They knew each other.
Yeah.
Jack Ruby was involved. He was part of that same mafia group. He died mysteriously. It was one interesting statement. But I think also they might be afraid to release this information. Look, people could probably handle the fact the CIA did it.
Mm.
Maybe, probably. But if they were killing other people, and if it opens up a mechanism that, hey, we have a mechanism where we can kill people on our soil who are defectors or considered national security risks, that could open up bigger things, more problems for the government, deep state.
Completely agree. We're going to have to end the show.
Yeah, we're going to go.
It's a bit of a shame.
He just cut it off right there. We're coming to the JFK story, and he cuts it.
Well, he'll have to have his own show.
I think so.
Conspiracy theorist there.
Get comfy, mate. We're keeping you, right?
What are you working for, Aaron?
Thank you so much for accepting.
Thank you. Hey, God bless
our
everybody.
Invitation.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Death to the New World Order.
Get on YouTube, do the old liking, subscribing, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
While you're there, also have a look at the fantastic conversation that you actually had with Stephen Moore. That was fantastic. Just a couple of weeks ago in preparation for the doco. Mate, it's just a pleasure to have you, and I'm going to leave the last words to these two lovely ladies.
Can I just say one last thing?
Oh, yeah.
Just like, as the world burns, like, share, and subscribe.
Share, and subscribe.
And we will also be putting the links to Scorpion Media and the other ones as well. So,
and when it does come out on for public, we will let you know. And maybe we'll have a screening.
Yeah, we're definitely having a screening.
We're going to have a screening.
Got dibs.
Last little thought. I wanted to just say thank you to Courage Secure, Robin, for her beautiful comments there. And I love the fact stay relentless. Yes,
and thank you for everything you do, Robin.
And Cafe Lockdown, Michael, Courage Secure, and everybody else. I forgot the girls at Topolini's.
There's so many great people out there.
Mel and Jody.
You got your whole fan club on.
Yeah. That's all it is.
All right. We are like 15 minutes late, so it's all good.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for being
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Ciao.